Hey all, here at OS Reviews. Today we're taking a quick look at the Gyroor G-F1. This is a hoverboard that's relatively powerful. It has two 350-watt motors coupled with 8.5-inch tires. That's why it's being labeled as an off-road hoverboard. With that being said, this is still not going to be quite as extreme as a, say, rugged bike, because in comparison, hoverboards and scooters, they still have smaller tires at the end of the day, so you'll feel a bit more of that shock as you're going over really rough terrain. And as the name F1 implies, it's inspired by Formula One race cars, so it does have a little bit more of that interesting design going on, at least with the shell. Comes in both a yellow and a black version that we're taking a look at today. And the battery life endurance is rated to last up to 12 miles on a single charge, which is also going to be significantly longer than the budget typical hoverboard. But of course, with these features, in addition to app support, Bluetooth capabilities for the RGB lights, and using it as a speaker, it's all going to add a little bit to the cost. In fact, this model retails for a little north of $350. It's definitely not cheap considering, like I said, I think hoverboards are not quite as practical in a sense as e-bikes, which can get you a little bit further distance. The overall experience might be a bit more comfortable. This is still a little bit more of a novelty item, but definitely looks extremely cool. It can go all the way up to 12 miles per hour, which is very fast as well for a hoverboard, where you don't have anything to really hang on to. Climbing up to 30 degrees in terms of slopes, and they do have a UL certification for the battery. So unlike a lot of the budget hoverboards that came out originally that had really bad publicity of exploding or catching on fire, this thing should not have any of those safety concerns. It's also IP54 for water resistance as well. Inside the box, aside from the hoverboard itself, we have the usual array of quick start guides to tell you how to turn it on. So make sure you lie it on a flat surface before switching it on. It takes a few seconds for it to self-balance and initialize before you should then step on. We've got just the charger, which does have a LED light that will indicate green when the charging is completed. Here's the power rating, and it plugs in using a proprietary adapter on the back of the hoverboard that does remind me of one of those older ThinkPad computer ports, but anyways, it is reversible. Last but not least, you'll also find a included carrying case, or really a bag, I should say, which is a pretty neat extra accessory that's included. Taking a closer look at the design of the hoverboard, we have overall a fusion of polycarbonate plastic and some of the metal guards for the wheels. The chrome accent is super shiny, but this part is made out of plastic. The tires, by the way, they are solid, so it's not an air-filled design here. And the rubber pads for standing on overall are pretty soft and comfortable. The front of the hoverboard we can also see includes the RGB lights on the front that will shine different colors, and there's also the speaker there in the middle. Now this is what the board looks like on the back. So we have symmetrical looking tail lights, which also are RGB, a handle for lifting up the hoverboard, and overall you can tell that it is a relatively sleek and stylish appearance. At the top there just houses a simple power key, which also glows when the board is turned on. Now while charging the board, you'll most likely be standing it upright like this. The back is where the battery is located, and you can remove the battery entirely if you want to swap it out, but underneath that little sliding door is where you'll find the aforementioned charging port, which is, again, overall working quite well. You just have to turn the board around or stand it on the side for it to charge, taking just around 2 hours to top up. Taking just a final look at the board, overall, again, I am a fan of the design. It just looks relatively sleek and clean. Again, those tires, although they are solid and not air-filled, like on an e-bike, for instance, which means it's still going to be a little more bumpy. It's hard to puncture, though, because it's not filled with anything. We do have relatively good traction with all these little spikes. The built-in handles make it easy to transport, although at 33 pounds, it's by no means light, though you can take it with you when on the go. Overall, the riding experience feels smooth, and it does take a little bit of acclimation to get used to because how sensitive the overall motors and calibration are. But once you play around with it for a couple of minutes, you'll get used to it, and you can then begin to go faster. You can hear in that demo there, the beeping sound is basically hitting the maximum speed that we set in the app. So if you want to fully unlock additional power, you can then tweak that and go even faster. We can see that in terms of the demo, there's also the lights on one side which will flash basically to indicate that you're trying to turn in that direction, acting as the tail lights similar to on a car. Again, just shifting your weight to the side where you want to move, and the entire thing will go in that direction, almost like mind control, so it feels very intuitive. Albeit, even though it has these 8.5-inch tires, I will say going over bumps in terms of different surfaces is still very obvious, so it's not quite as comfortable there as, say, a full-sized e-bike. So do tread cautiously. Look at the companion app, how fast the hoverboard is currently going at, the battery percentage, and turn on and off the lights. So right now it's on. I can also turn this off if desired. We can tap on settings to turn on and off the auto balancing mode, and you can also control the maximum speed. So right now it's cut at 3.73 miles per hour, but you can also unlock the maximum speed. Down below here, you can also tap on Analyze, and it will do a quick check through the various components on the hoverboard in terms of the battery and the motors left and right side, if everything is functioning correctly or not. And also under LED lights, you can further tweak the individual lights here to your liking using this color wheel. So for instance, we can go into the cyan blue, dark blue, purple, pink, violet, red, and this can all be controlled. And we can turn off the hoverboard by tapping on the power key. This will turn everything off, but it will also sever your connection to the app. So when you turn it on, you have to still press on the power key. So that's the startup, and it will now be calibrated. Once again, we can reconnect to the app. But that's essentially all of the features that we have. So pretty much just battery speed, as well as changing some of the light controls. And in terms of the other panels here, they're mostly just for displaying other types of accessories that they sell, including this go-kart seat, which you can attach onto certain models to race and sit down instead of standing upright, and also share some of your stats with friends. But in terms of using it as a Bluetooth speaker, for that particular mode, you would just need to connect it to a regular Bluetooth settings on your phone. It's simply called Wheel Music. Tapping on this will pair just like any other Bluetooth speaker. Just doing a random demo here. So overall, the quality of the speakers do sound decent, and it can, again, give you some additional music while you are riding, and also is where the sound effects for the power as well as when you're braking comes from. So that's more or less it as far as our hands-on review of the Gyroor F1 hoverboard. Again, it's really the overall stylish appearance as well as the app control, Bluetooth speaker capability, as well as the slightly larger tires and top speed that makes this one, I think, one of the better hoverboards that you can pick up if you are traversing shorter terrains, such as indoors, or if you are just in a park somewhere really close by. Because ultimately, if you are still climbing super sharp inclines and going over longer distances, it can still be perhaps not quite as comfortable as a traditional e-scooter or e-bike, but nonetheless really is fun and gives you more of that granular control using your body. You can create more turns and tricks on here as a result, like the spins that we saw there, which definitely makes it more entertaining as a result. So you can check out more details if interested in the links down below, one of the most powerful hoverboards currently available. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. That's been the Gyroor F1.